If you've never painted watercolor flowers, but you really want to, or you always paint them, but you feel like you're never successful, this is the project for you. Welcome back, friends. My name is Shayda Campbell, and today's video is the perfect thing for the beginner watercolorist. We're going to focus on creating a color palette that really pops, and then we're going to paint flowers without painting flowers, and you'll see what I mean when we get into this. Before we get started, please take a second to hit that subscribe button. It's something small you can do that supports this channel in a really big way. Here are the supplies that you need to create this super simple graphic piece. So I'm working on a 9x12 sheet of 140-pound hot pressed paper. You can use cold pressed, rough, whatever paper you like, it doesn't matter, in any size you like. And then I do have some of my paints mixed up, although we'll talk color mixing in a second, but you can use any watercolor set. I am using the Muñoz 48-pan set as usual. And then I have 2 glasses of water, one for cool colors, one for warm colors. And then I am using a number 8 pointed round brush. I also have a number 4 here, so kind of a larger and smaller brush. It's nice to have a couple round brushes. Remember, they have a large belly that holds lots of paint, but they come to a nice fine point so that you can successfully do precise detail work. The last thing you need is a tape, like washi tape or painter's tape, because this piece really succeeds when we create a nice, clean, fresh border. So we're going to border off the sides of the paper using the tape, and we'll remove them after the painting is done, and it's going to look so good. This piece also really succeeds when you consider your color palette ahead of time. So start by mixing up colors and testing them on the paper to see how they look together. Consider using complementary colors like I've done. You can see I have blues and oranges. Those are across from each other on the color wheel. So I've mixed up a yellow ochre as well as a beautiful dark coral. And then of course I had some gray in here, so I've mixed French gray with just a little hint of violet and lots of water, of course. And then the darker gray that you see just has a little bit more violet in it, so that's all that is. And then for the blue, I have used this teal aqua color, and I've mixed more French gray into it. And for the darker blue, it is a mix of the aqua and French gray with just a little bit of cobalt blue. To start our painting, I'm going to say something important. You do not need to be good at painting flowers to succeed at this poppy graphic floral piece. You've already done this fresh border. You've set yourself up for success with a beautiful, bright, contrasting color palette. Now we're just going to turn those colors into some floral-ish shapes. So you can see I've used the yellow ochre to paint a flower. Then I come in with my coral and I think of another shape. And for the coral, I'm just going to do some berries. So I'm just painting some little ovals in a cluster. I'm going to use my gray, the light gray, to paint these large leaf shapes. Remember, run that belly of the brush across the page. 1 or 2 strokes of the brush with that extra bit of pressure, and you've got a leaf. Don't overwork it. For the darker gray, I've reached for my smaller round paintbrush, and I am doing a smaller leaf, but it goes by the same formula, just adding a little bit of pressure, dragging that brush across the page, and kind of seeing what shape emerges. While I have the smaller brush out, I'm going to use the light blue to create this flower that has these kind of long, thin petals, but it's very loose, very whimsical. You can see each petal consists of 1 or 2 brush strokes, and it's just very loose and free. Don't overthink these shapes. They don't need to be perfect. They don't even need to really look like flowers and leaves. This is going to be very graphic, and it's all about that color palette, and it's really about practicing your brush strokes. You're going to end up with something that looks cool, I promise you, even if all you do is paint blobs. You can see I did a darker blue leaf there, and then I am going to use a little bit of dark brown to kind of finish everything off and add contrast. So joining my little berries together with some delicate stems, and then just painting a few lines at the center of each flower to create the look of a stamen. Okay, so that's it. This is kind of the formula for the piece. Nice border with the tape. We've got a poppy color palette, and now we know we've got a yellow flower, orange berries, blue flower, etc., and we can just fill in the rest of the page. Okay, let's finish this piece. I recommend putting on a podcast or a playlist of your favorite music and just let go and paint. Start with the larger items, whether you've done large leaves or large flowers. My largest subject, I guess, is the yellow flower. So I'm starting there and just painting a bunch. I tend to work in clusters, like I'll work at the bottom half of the page and then at the top. So I won't necessarily do all the yellow flowers first, but this process is really about what feels most natural to you. So you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. You may want to fill in the entirety of the page with the yellow, then go to the gray, then the orange, or what have you. It's totally up to you. Let go, have fun. If I can give you any advice, don't think about painting flowers. Concentrate on the feel of the brush in your hand, on the brush strokes. Don't think about painting a leaf, just thinking about running that belly of the brush across the page. Add a little more pressure or a little less pressure and just see what kind of organic shapes you get. And then, just go with it. Here are a few other things to consider or think about while you're painting. If your piece looks a little flat, don't give up on it. Remember, you can build up color and contrast in layers. So we can add more dark yellow and dark orange, and we'll add that brown in later once the first or second coat of paint kind of dries. So, give yourself a little bit of grace and don't give up if you feel things look washed out. Also, don't feel you have to paint from one angle. When you're using these really free, loose brush strokes, I find it feels really natural sometimes to flip that page around. If you're more comfortable pulling the brush towards you, then turn the page upside down when you need you, Just do whatever feels good and let go. Have I said that enough? Let go, have fun with this one, because it really is meant to be a lot of fun. Finally, you don't have to achieve perfect balance. Nobody's going to notice if you don't put as many orange berries as you did yellow flowers. So again, don't overthink it or worry about that kind of thing. My page is getting quite full, my pattern is coming together, and now here's the contrast I was talking about. I'm adding in lots of brown at the center of each flower and to join all those little coral berries together. And I'm also starting to, add a little bit of a darker yellow, just add a little bit of brown to your yellow ochre if you're working in the same color palette, and add some splotches of dark yellow to a few of those flower petals. It can be very random and free. You could also mix a darker blue or gray and add some splotches of darker blue to the leaves, or add a gray line down the center of each leaf. So we can really add a lot more contrast, and especially if you feel that the piece is a little washed out, this is going to help immensely. You can also look for little areas that may need another leaf, and you'll notice I left the center of my paper blank. You don't need to do that, but it is a fun way to incorporate text into your graphic floral if you want to. At this point, we are done with what I would call the pattern painting part of this project, and we are going to remove all the washi tape and see our beautiful clean border. I am telling you, if you put that tape on and you create a nice color palette, it doesn't matter if your florals are all just blobs, it is going to look cool. And then we can finish our project with a little quote or a poem or something. And I encourage you to keep this component just as graphic. Use a thick fine liner, a marker, or a brush pen like me. And I think a shorter quote looks really good. I'm using the Tombow brush pen in black and just adding my little quote here. And I think this is just such a fun piece. Great for the watercolor beginner. You don't have to be good at painting flowers to paint flowers. And gosh, I just hope you enjoyed this and that you got something out of it and that you're feeling more confident with your watercolor florals and that you feel like you could make something pretty even if you're just getting started. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to support this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.